Bigfoot, aliens from outer space. There are stories out there that have haunted us for generations. Ordinary people put in terrifying situations. Sometimes the unexplained is stranger than the books we read. Do you have a story? An unsolved mystery? Lock yourself away with us for the next hour and let's talk about it. Nothing is too far. Nothing is off the table. You want to be heard? You want your story out there? Or do you just want someone to believe you? Well, then let's talk. I've got time and you've got a story. Don't be afraid. Don't be scared. Find the courage to call us or just listen in while we work through the stories of regular people just like you, reliving extraordinary situations. It's time to go off the record.
There it is. That's what I'm talking about. The intro, the intro, the intro, the intro. You just can't do nothing with it. You see what's going on there? You smelling what I'm stepping in right now? You paying attention? All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. Let's get the numbers balanced out right. Looks like the pod track is moving up and down. I believe Streamlabs is moving side to side. We might be a little on the low side right there for the volume, but then again, I'm the guy doing all the work behind the scenes. Thank you for joining OTR. Off the record with the General. With my beautiful wife sitting across the studio from me. Good evening, dear.
Hello.
It's been a minute, hasn't it? It's been a while since we've been here.
Yes, it has.
We had the Summer Bash Week upon us. We took a week off in between to reset everything, which we're still recalibrating some stuff here. Promised you guys some new things, some new adventures. This is what we're doing. I'm imagining we're 5x5 on KGXTradio.com, and I think we're double streaming on YouTube the way everybody hates it. Nobody likes it when we don't stream on YouTube. I got to tell you guys, what time is it? It is 4 minutes after 6 o'clock Los Angeles time. Off the record, as you might have noticed, is an odd show. It's a call-in show or a caller-based show in the spirit of George Norrie and Coast to Coast, things of that nature, but we're just Bush League. Little guys stepping out there, but we enjoy the conversations. You guys get to let us know what you want to talk about. Have you had a conspiracy theory? Have you had a Bigfoot problem and you have an infestation of Bigfoot? We got a can of spray that'll help you out with that. What about a ghost story or maybe an alien abduction story? We really enjoy hearing from you guys. You guys have such a variety of things that you guys have called in within the past year. We've had almost one full, we almost have a full season under our belt. If you count one show a week and 52 weeks in a year, I think we're at episode 49.
Wow.
We're really close to crossing that line. So how's all your cellar dwellers doing over there in Discord?
They're doing fine.
All right.
They're doing fine. I'm trying to get the sheets up just in case.
Discord is, just so you guys know, discord.gg/GenXTalks. GenXTalks has a Discord server. That's just old school chat rooms for everybody. You guys know what that's like. And that's what everybody's hanging out there. You guys get to talk about what's going on. Plus, we have the sheets up on all of the platforms that we broadcast on. We have moderators. Moderators write down your questions. They copy and paste and they put it in Google Sheets. And our lovely queen, my blushing bride, she's sitting in the sheets right where you want her, and she's reading everything. So if there's something important that you guys have to say, we can move it right along. Now listen.
Can we announce 2 birthdays today? Even on OTR?
No.
Oh.
It's not a birthday show. Who do you think you
are? Happy birthday!
God,
oh, my brother's not here.
Your brother's not here to do that stupid happy birthday thing. No.
Well, we have a couple birthdays of staff.
Can't we save it for something else?
All right, I'll tell my brother tomorrow.
Yeah, you tell him tomorrow.
He's going to announce it on the garage show.
On Friday.
Oh, wait. Sorry. Wow. Sorry. I'll just go sit in the corner.
You go ahead and tell the Sun Valley Fox anything you want tomorrow. I don't care. Now, listen. One of the rules that we brought back is that we just wanted to step up our game a little bit. We wanted to have an interesting guest or not do the show at all. It just was getting a little mundane with me having to fill in when guests didn't show up, when we were kind of running through the same people with the similar stories. And I'm like, we got to just change things up. There's people out there that know a lot of information. There's people out there that know way more than we're ever going to know. They forgot more than we're ever going to know. So every now and then, what we want to do is bring in somebody special. Now, tonight's guest, I got to tell you, This guy, I've spoken to him on the phone. This guy has probably more stories. You could fill an encyclopedia with the stuff this guy's done. Paranormal, UFO investigator. He had some time where he's spending in looking into Bigfoot stuff. I mean, you're talking about decades of investigation and first-hand encounters where there's dozens and dozens, probably 300 people that he has sat there with and counseled them. You got to admit that anytime you're doing something that shocks your system, like going to war, they have counselors, they have therapists. Things that you get into a big car crash, you're part of a burning building, they have therapists. They have people you can talk to. Well, this guy has sat down with people at that level who have had encounters that are unexplainable. And he's taken the notes and he's dissected it. He has advice to offer. His name's, I'm probably going to mess up his last name. I'm trying not to. And I just called him John and we spoke on the phone for about 45 minutes the other day. I never did say how to pronounce his last name, which is a terrible thing to do as a trained broadcast professional host. That's about the worst thing you can do is introduce your guest incorrectly.
You think?
Now, his first name's John. Last name is Budrys. I believe I got that right. Budrys? But it's not. I want to say Birdies, and it's not. It's Budrys. Budrys? Anyway, I'm gonna call him right now. We're gonna get him on the phone. Hopefully, he's got his phone handy. We did talk earlier today. Let him know that we would be contacting him. So let me pull up his number. I'm gonna give him a call. All right. He's back east, so he's staying up late for you folks. I think you should appreciate his effort there. He didn't have to do this for us. He was kind enough to give us some time out of his evening, so let's not waste it. Let's get to him right now. All right. Get the phone and go over here. Phone call. Get the phone call thing right here. Come on, man. Where's my deal? I got a phone call. And we go to the number. All right. Now, I can't let you guys know his number. It's not appropriate, you guys. He didn't give it to you. He gave it to me. All right. So we go 1, 8. And then we got 8. Just to show you I'm doing this right.
Come on, man.
What did I do wrong there?
You're punching buttons?
Yeah. I'm pushing buttons the wrong way. I don't have a beeper. I don't have a boop, 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 boop. 8. Okay, now I got it. Now I got it correct. We'll see if John picks up. Here we go. And you know what? It's not connected. Why isn't the phone? This is the high-tech end of things. Hey, John, if you're listening in, buddy, I'm going to be right with you, pal. Just give me 1 second here. I got to get this.
Trained broadcast professional.
I'm trying to be, but the phone all of a sudden disconnected for some stupid reason. It's not John's problem. It's my problem. There's something wrong on this end. I don't know. So, but listen, he's a guest worth having on. Let me try to get one more thing here. Bluetooth and connect to BTA. He's connecting there. One more second. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And, we have a problem. It's not here. Uh-oh. Somebody oopsed on our end. Somebody fucked the dog. Hang on a second. We're going to get right to you. Just hold on. John, I know you're out there. Give me 1 second to get this. We're trying to connect to a piece of the device that has failed us. But don't worry. We have a backup piece. Anyway, his name's, if you guys want to look, his accolades are long. If you look up his stuff on there, on the internet with his name, you guys are like, holy shit, this guy's really been investigating for a very long, yeah, we're not making that up. He really is. All right, now it says we're connected. Let's try John again one more time here. Gonna have to start with apologies. That's always good for a good guest is to start by apologizing. He's gonna have to understand the level that we're operating. All right, there we go. Let's
Hello.
See. Hey, John, how are you, buddy?
All right. Yeah, I clicked on accept the call and it shut off immediately.
Yeah, it wasn't your end. It was on ours. We had a glitch with our receiver. We just had to reset it, and then we got back to where we're supposed to be. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, I can hear you fine. I got you on speaker on the phone here.
All right. If that becomes a problem on our end for our viewers and our listening audience, I may have you go to a regular phone, not speaker. But for right now, you're pretty clear, I got to tell you.
Okay, good.
All right, so John...
The miracle of Samsung.
That's right. So, John, I don't even have a way to describe. I've, you and I have talked, and of course, one of our producers got in touch with you in the beginning, and I did look up some stuff online. I'd be here for 20 minutes reading your resume of the things you've done and been part of in the last decades. So is there any way you can just kind of give us the highlights, and that would help get us going here?
Sure. As you say, I've done a lot of things. I've lived a rather normal, I have normal careers and jobs, but I've always had interests ever since, let's say, maybe late elementary school in paranormal, in mystical things, other world, the telepathic, life after death. My first book was Book of the Damned by Charles Fort. Anybody remembers that from way long time, about rains of frogs and ghosts and telepathy and UFOs and that? Oh, wonderful.
Sure.
I've been interested in that stuff all my life. I'm not a nutcase. If it gives you any clue, my first major in college was astrophysics.
Wow.
I'm pretty level-headed. I love cosmology, physics, any of that. I'm currently struggling with the different rates of time in the universe, just trying to conceptualize that. Stephen Hawking, in one of his last books, talked about, much like Einstein said, E equals mc squared, though matter can be converted to energy and vice versa.
Right.
Hawking's figured that space can be converted to time and vice versa.
Well, I got to tell you.
That just blows my mind,
John, I struggle with that too. So, maybe we should sit down over lunch and collaborate. That space time bending stuff, being a mechanic on domestic automobiles, you can see where I'd be interested in that too. It's good stuff, man. I'm right up there with you, brother.
It is. It's great stuff. Anyway, but more recently, I've been interested in metaphysical topics. I've studied with shaman in South America. I've studied with people here. I've meditated most of my life, so I'm a lazy meditator. I mean, I like what Baba Ram Dass says. He says, "Hey, it doesn't really matter, because if you don't get it in this lifetime, you got plenty of other lifetimes to work on it."
I got you.
So just enjoy, have fun, and don't be guilty. And I like that.
Well, that's
kind of
what
approach.
we're doing, John. We try to have a good time here.
Yeah.
We
About the last 10 years or so, I got back into UFOs, and that's what you were talking about. I heard your intro. To be like a bit of like an abductee counselor is what I call myself. Though I'm not counseling anyone. I'm not doing any therapy or anything like that. But I'm a person to talk to. I've heard, as you said, about probably over 300 people I've talked to by now, easily, over the last decade, and you get to know the topic after a while. I don't claim to be an expert. I don't think anyone is. I know of no one that the aliens have pulled aside and fully briefed on why they're here and all their techniques and technologies. No one has been briefed like that. But after a while, you kind of get some ideas. So
Sure.
I can be a little helpful talking to people, and that's what I'm doing now.
I try to describe to our audience, on some of our we have subscription people. If you add up all the platforms, just over 3 million. If you have members that are paying members that want the inside skinny, it's the number's a lot smaller, but it's still in the thousands. And people wanted to know. I mentioned to them what we were talking. I said, "Hey, no, there's this guy. He's got some cool information, and is kind of a therapist for anybody who has been abducted, and he talks to them. He counsels them. He's got some insight." And they said, "Wait. Does he counsel the people that have been abducted, or does he counsel the aliens after they've been here?" I said, "Well, I'm assuming the people, but he didn't really say if he'd spoken to an alien and said, 'Hey, how do you like Earth?' Because I don't know if they'd be too responsive. I don't know if aliens would really like our planet. Just because they visit us doesn't mean they like us. And I don't know if you can shed any light on that at all. But if you had to give an overall sense, do you think that this is a vacation spot for them, or are they studying us?"
It does seem to be some kind of a study, and they do like us, but there are a great number of species that are coming. I mean, most people nowadays kind of are familiar with the concept of every star you see out there pretty much has planets around it. So there's more planets out there than there are stars. And then you start looking at the number of galaxies, and it's just like overwhelmed. There must be other life out there. And from talking to people, it does seem like, and sometimes people can relay what the aliens told them. Yeah, there's a lot of species coming here. Basically, they're all pretty good. Are there some rogues there? Yeah. I mean, you go in the supermarket, pretty much everybody's okay, but every once in a while there's somebody trying to slip a steak into their purse or steal some apples, or they're out there, and the rest of the aliens try and control them pretty much, but they like us. They look at us like little brothers, but they look at us with dismay. I've heard the analogy. It's like they watch us like, you're like monkeys playing with hand grenades with these nuclear bombs. Stop already. They're like, something bad's going to happen eventually,
Right.
And they look at our planet and go, you've got this beautiful planet, all these species, like kindred spirit entities that are living with you on this planet, and you're destroying it. Stop already. You need to be less warlike and less. That doesn't sound like a bad message.
No, yeah, that doesn't sound like someone coming here to conquer you. That sounds like someone, like you just said, offering some advice, like, "Hey, man, we're just trying to help you out here a little bit."
Sometimes people call. Most of the time, there's if you talk to somebody that's a therapist that does counseling all day long, and they have somebody that has had alien contacts, a lot of times they'll say, "Oh, that poor person, that they must have PTSD from this extraordinary ontological shocking experience."
Yeah.
I found no, they're not shocked. They don't need therapy. They don't need tranquilizing drugs. They're more like kids that are excited about Santa Claus coming on Christmas Eve. And they can't get to sleep because it's like, what is that noise on the roof? Is that Santa's hooves? And Mother says, "Come on, kiddies, go to sleep, because if you don't go to sleep, Santa's not going to come."
Okay.
And do these kids need therapy? Do these kids need drugs? No.
Well, I
no.
get what you're saying there, but I would have thought John, I was just going to say, I would have thought the opposite. I would have thought exactly how you started. I would have thought any of that would have been traumatic. I mean, I had never thought of it like you just said about Santa. That is a great analogy, because if some kid saw Santa Claus, he would not be freaking out. He'd be excited, like, "Oh my gosh, look what's standing in front of me." I never thought of it that way.
Yeah. Most people I talk to are not scared as much as they're curious. The reason they want to talk to someone is like they want to figure out what the heck is happening. What's going on? Am I nuts? That's one of the first things they want to know. John, do you think I'm crazy? And after talking to somebody, I worked in mental health for a number of years. And I mean, I work with the real crazies in the institution to, therapists that come in, like a therapist that, somebody come in for an hour of counseling.
Yeah, sure.
And everything in between. And you can kind of tell if somebody's a little screwy. They can hide it for 5-10 minutes, but eventually, they'll say, but they're listening to me, the satellite, it'll come out.
Right.
I talk to people. My phone calls with people generally last at least a couple hours. And the reason is because people, when they realize that they're able to talk to me about anything, metaphysical, other weird things that have happened to them, aliens, it's like suddenly the floodgates open. It's like, oh, finally.
Right.
And they want to talk. And I think, you know what? I offer myself as a voluntary service to talk to people and try and give them some advice and some resources they might look, and they're just so happy. They just want to go on and on and on.
Well, let me ask you.
I figure, okay.
Yeah. Let me ask you something now. So you've had so many interactions with so many of these people. Let me just ask you a couple of questions that I know is going through the minds of our audience right now. Is there any probably more than one, but I'll just ask it as a singular question. Is there any common denominator that you find when they describe their experiences? Do they all kind of look the same? Do they all kind of sound the same? Do they all kind of smell the same? Is there a lot of commonality between, if you've interviewed 300 people, is there any similarities in their stories?
Yes. Let's see. I could approach this a couple different ways. I've been asked to give talks locally and in podcasts and that. And actually, I just got done being interviewed by a Japanese film crew for a show called Mr. Sunday. And unfortunately, they didn't use the footage from interviewing me, but they did drive all the way. I'm in Michigan, and they drove all the way to Michigan to interview me on my back porch and sat here for 2.5 hours filming me, but they didn't use the footage. But I've been interviewed and given talks, and let's see, where was I going to go with this?
We're talking about
What was your
commonalities.
question
My
again?
commonalities that people see the same things and hear the
Yeah,
same
one
things.
of the talks I gave was I talked about actually what happens when you talk to people that have had these experiences, and I used the concept of a common thing that would happen would be like a ding, you know.
Right,
And so
yeah.
I said, okay, what happens in a typical story is a person's laying in bed and they happen to wake up. It's usually like about 2 or 3 in the morning. Ding! That's a commonality. And they look to the side of their bed, and here's these little short guys about 3.5 feet tall with big black eyes looking at them. Ding! That's
Wow.
another commonality. The
Okay.
little grays. Okay, they find themselves paralyzed. Ding! You know, they can't move, but they can move their eyes. The little grays, they pick the guy up or the woman up. They take them through the wall, ding, out
Wow.
of their house, into a craft up above, and put them into sort of a dentist type chair or barber type chair. Ding! That's another commonality.
Wait. Before you go, I want to hear the rest of your story. But you mean that's common amongst a broad group of people? None
Yeah.
of them know each other. They're all from different places, and they
Now-
all. Wow. Okay. All right. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, and so when somebody starts telling me this story and they say, I don't know, John, there was one guy, I used him as examples. This was early on in talking with people, but I'd already talked to a number of people. And when he called, he said, oh, man, you're going to be like really freaked out by my story. It's like, I can't believe it's really weird. I said, well, you know what, buddy? You're going to have a hard time freaking me out because I've heard a lot of stories,
Yeah.
and I've actually had a lot of experiences myself. And if I haven't had the direct experience, I've either read about it or I know about it somehow. So you're going to have a hard time freaking me out. But go ahead, tell me your story. And he told me the story, and afterwards he said, what do you think? I mean, do you think I'm crazy or something? You know, I mean, wasn't that wild? Isn't that the wildest thing you ever heard? And I said, buddy, in my world, your story is actually quite boring. And he went, what? What? Boring? That's the weirdest thing ever. You think it's boring? I said, listen, if you listen to what I said, in my world.
Yeah.
And
right.
my world consists of talking to a lot of people like you. And I've heard that same story over and over and over again. And the reason I'm saying it that way, that it's boring, is I'm trying to tell you, number one, you don't sound crazy to me. And number two, I'm hearing the same story from you that I've heard over and over and over again from other people. And so there's some kind of real phenomena going on. You're not crazy. You've been lucky enough, or whatever, however you want to consider it, to have experienced this phenomenon.
Yeah.
And it's a very familiar strain. There's a thing. Sometimes people say they are concerned. I mean, they're not scared as much as stressed by it. It is kind of stressful. You're laying in bed, you're sleeping, and suddenly 2 or 3 in the morning, you wake up and you see these little alien-looking gray beings next to your bed. What the hell? They don't make an
Yeah.
appointment. They don't say, we'll be here tonight at 2 in the morning.
Right.
So, they just show
that's-
up whenever they feel
that's
like it.
kinda
And
rude.
it freaks
I
people
think
out.
they should call ahead. I think that'd be courtesy to call ahead. Let us know you're coming.
There-
You know?
There is a lot of complaints by people, that, hey, they don't have rights to just show up. Well, I don't know. When a naturalist goes out and studies a deer herd, does he make an appointment with the deer?
Right.
No. They just, show up. They got their dart gun. They shoot the dart gun. They paralyze the deer. They weigh it. They take a blood sample, maybe clip a hair, look at the deer's teeth, and after a while, the deer starts to come to. On wobbly legs, he makes his way back to the rest of the herd, and he says to the rest of the herd, "Wow, you wouldn't believe what just happened to me." And the rest of the deer herd will go, "Oh, Fred, you've been eating those rotten berries again, haven't you?" You know?
I get that. That's a great analogy. That is a perfect analogy. The rest of the herd to shake their head and go, "Dude, quit making up stories. What are you talking about? There's no scientist with needles and stuff."
But there's a guy, Bigelow. You've heard of Bigelow, probably. He's a famous billionaire. I think he was the Econo Lodge hotels that he founded. He made his money on. He's very interested in metaphysical and UFO topics, and he spent a lot of money studying. I think it was sometime in the 80s. I'm not sure exactly when, but he hired the Roper Survey Company to do a survey of Americans and try and figure out what percentage of Americans had been taken by aliens, or maybe had some alien contact. And they asked, I think it was 10 questions. I might be misstating this, but I'm pretty close.
Right.
They asked like 10 questions like, have you ever had a period of missing time? You ever woken up and find little gray beings next to your bed? You ever, wake up in the morning and find marks on your body? Those sort of questions. And they figured, okay, if the person got something like 50% of the questions they answered yes, they've probably been taken. They ended up with something like 5% of the respondents that probably had been taken.
Wow.
They surveyed like 1,000 people,
Sure,
whatever Roper considers a good size. Now, if you kind of like use that number, 5%. There's currently right now over 300 million Americans in America, right?
Yeah.
So what is 5% of 300 million? Like something like 15 million people?
Well, yeah. If you extrapolate that out, it's scary huge. Yeah.
Yeah. And then that's just America. Let's go to the whole world. What is there, close to 9 billion people in the world? What's 5% of 9 billion? What is that, like a half a billion, a quarter billion people, something like that?
That's something. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not.
That's a lot of people that have been taken.
Well, John, let me interrupt you. And I'm going to ask you now. I'm going to just ask just a quick question. If you had to take into account all the things that you've interviewed, all the people you've interviewed, and all the things you've learned, give me some things that you personally believe are in your mind, they're a 100% constant. Number one, I would say your answer would be there are aliens. Number one, you believe, there's too much research done, too many interviews. It's constant. It's all the same. What about, you say they're all about 3 foot tall and big eyes. You would say. No. Okay, well, that's what I'm asking.
No,
what would you say is a constant thing that you believe?
What puzzles me, and there's another guy, I could get the book out. I wanted to have some books available, but there's a guy, I forget his name, but he wrote a book. He's a Neanderthal a professor. He studies Neanderthal caves. I know where the book is. I'd have to go across to my house, another room to get it. But it's the extemporaneal hypothesis, I think is the title of the book. It's a difficult to pronounce word. He is not the only person that thinks this, but he thinks the aliens are us from the future. Why? And I've struggled with this myself. Why do all the aliens have 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 eyes, a head with 2 eyes, basically a body shape like ours?
So that's something you
reptilian.
believe is constant. You believe that's pretty consistent?
Yes.
Okay.
Why is that? Why is that? It's like they're related to us. And he thinks they're related to us because they're from the future, come back to visit. But I don't know. I think there's like a common life thread somehow.
Wouldn't
the
they
DNA,
say so? Wouldn't that be like one of the first things you'd say is, we're from your future, quit tossing hand grenades like a bunch of monkeys? Using your analogy, wouldn't that be something they'd pass along?
Well,
or maybe not, because they made it.
It's more.
If they're from us,
I think it's more like the Star Trek thing that Captain Kirk, the prime directive is, don't interfere with the development of this species.
Okay.
And I think they keep it. That's why they come in the middle of the night. And I think they're quite kind about it. If you think about this, they're here for some reason, but they're
Yeah.
quite kind about it. If you're like, if they can detect that you're like scared, well, and they do in most cases, they'll blank your memory out. There you go, missing time. What happened? I remember, seeing the craft, and then 2 hours later, remember coming to. What the hell happened?
Right.
If you're scared about it, they've wiped it from your conscious memory. Wasn't that nice of them?
Yeah, it's
You
an
don't have to be bothered.
Sure, act of kindness there. But listen, I want to bring.
But if you're really interested, you can go and get hypnotized, and a lot of times the memory of that will come back. So if you're curious and you want to pursue it, it's there, available for you.
Okay.
If it bothers you, they've made it so you're not bothered by it. They're rather kind about it,
Right.
and what but they're on some kind of mission. Are they here
Well,
because they need our DNA?
Let me touch
Are
on
they-
something you said before you go. Before we move on, you had mentioned that sometimes they would come to us and speak to us like an older brother, like, "Hey, you guys are a bunch of monkeys playing with hand grenades. You should probably stop doing that before you ruin yourselves." However, if that person's theory is correct and they are us from the future, doesn't that validate the fact that we didn't blow ourselves up and run humanity
Exactly.
into extinction?
You're pretty, well, I'll be a little funny. You're a pretty part smello. You're a pretty sharp guy.
Thank
you. That's exactly what I kind of came to the conclusion. It's a rather heartening theory, isn't it? That if the aliens are us coming from the future, that means we have a future.
Yeah.
Which is a but that doesn't mean we can relax like, oh, okay, everything's going to be all right, so let's party down. No, we still have to take care of our planet.
Sure.
We got to get our shit together, but apparently we somehow do in the future. Some of us do. I don't know how many are going to be lost in some nuclear war. Maybe only a few survive.
Yeah.
And maybe they're here because we need to be like tweaked at some point, so it does guarantee that some of us do survive.
So we do survive, right?
I don't.
Yeah.
Maybe they're coming back into their past to guarantee that they will have
sure.
a future.
Well, let me ask you this, since we're talking about the abductions and the commonalities. What is your opinion, and I'm sure you have looked into this extensively, a lot of researchers have, what is your opinion about the fire in the sky and the Travis Walton story? How much accuracy is inside that, do you believe?
I think he's legit.
Okay.
I actually worked with Jennifer Stein, who made the movie. I forget the title of her movie. There's one that's made by Hollywood, and then Jennifer Stein made a documentary movie about, I think she called it Fire in the Sky. I think, but I don't know. Or the Travis Walton story or something. But Travis Walton, I've talked to him several times. I know he talks to so many people. I'm sure he wouldn't he might remember me if he talked to me again, but he's getting pretty old now. But I helped Jennifer Stein work on what was going to be an article, a longer email, and I think it's going to become a book. I've told her you should make it a book. She's got about 100 pages already. I helped her with some of the research. One of the things that they said was maybe he went up into the fire tower and hid there for like a week, Well, so I called the Forest Service, and I spoke to the people that run the fire towers. And they say, number one, that time of year, they're usually concerned with fires in the summer. This happened in fall.
Yeah.
And that time of year, I forget when it was October or something. They said the fire towers are all locked up already.
Mm.
And the fire tower that he was supposed to be hiding in, I said, what's inside the thing? They said, nothing. There's a desk there and a CB radio. And I said, is there a toilet or anything? No.
Wow.
Is there any water there? No. So
Wow.
it's just a wooden structure. That's right. So he was going to be hiding under a desk for a week with no toilet, no water?
Wow.
I don't think so. And then the lady I talked to her the next day. She said she was telling that this guy called and wanted to know about this. He said the guy that was supervising that tower, the towers at that date, he actually came in to get a firewood collection permit, and she told him about me, and he said, yeah, he remembered that on that day when Travis was discovered to be missing.
Yeah.
He, in an effort to be helpful with the search, he opened up that fire tower and had an employee go up there and be out there all day long looking with binoculars to see if he could. So if Travis was up there in that fire tower,
yeah,
under the desk, was he gonna like remain motionless for like all day long while this guy? No, come on, that like skeptical story just makes less and less sense.
I agree.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting story, and I do think, his conclusion was that he thinks he was damaged by this bolt of light or something, this electrical whatever something, and the aliens felt bad for him, so they took him on board so they could fix him. Otherwise, he probably would have died. And they do seem to have that kind. They don't want to hurt us. In fact, one of the things I tell people that are scared. I point out that the researchers have kind of found that somewhere between 20 to 40% of people that are taken by aliens are healed of some kind of malady.
Wow.
Why would the aliens be out to destroy us if they're healing us? I have spoken to people who have been healed. In fact, I've pointed it out to some people that I talk to that say that they've got some kind of physical problem, and I suggest to them, there were two people in particular, I suggested, why don't you try this? When you're going to sleep, since alien communications are telepathic, why don't you send out a telepathic request to the aliens, something like, hey guys, you're getting something from me by taking me. How about if you do something in return and help me with this physical ailment?
Yeah.
And both the people that did that were healed of their ailment.
John, I'll tell you, if that was an option, I'd put a sign on my roof that said, come take me, you have my permission, just help me out. It wouldn't even be telepathic. I'd paint a sign. If I thought it would work.
Does it sound like they're evil? Does
No.
it sound like the Hollywood portrayal of, the aliens are here.
No.
Get the machine gun.
No, it doesn't sound like that at all. No, it's you.
No.
When I listen to you describe the interactions, and you have such a unique way of putting into perspective some of these conversations, like you describe it, like they look at us like an older brother, or we're chimpanzees with hand grenades, or maybe, we're the deer that was just being examined and went back to the herd. When you say things like that, it really bends the perspective of what Hollywood and books have been teaching us for 50 years. It really changes that lighting a little bit. I got to tell you, I like those descriptions a lot, John. I really do.
I value being able to talk to you and your listeners. And I think it's a wonderful opportunity so I can share some of this.
Sure.
That it's not a scary thing. I hope sometime there's been talk about, they're going to land this year and there's going to be a big display. I hope so. I hope they land before I die and figure out a little bit more about them.
Right.
But if they don't, at some point, they're probably going to reveal what it's all about. But I don't know what it is, what it is they're doing, but it's obviously not harmful. They're not here to hurt us. They're doing some kind of study of some sort, and I can't, they kind of like if they tried to explain to the deer what you were doing to them.
Right.
You could talk to them all day long, and they never would understand,
Well, let's look
so you just minimize the pain.
Sure. Think about it this way, too, is that, people have had, just casual discussions with me about that, and I'm certainly no expert. I look at certain situations and apply some common sense. Like they show all the releasing the files by the administration that's been released and things you can explain. A lot of them are hard to explain. And someone says to me, well, do you think the aliens are going to attack? I was like, well, why would they? And if they're going to, why wouldn't they have done it already? And when people say, well, they're waiting for the right time. Well, what's the right time? We're just getting smarter and stronger. If you're going to do something, do it now. Don't wait till we get more advanced. Don't wait till there's, more people running around that have figured stuff out. But, again, what do I know? I don't know what all these, have you run into any of those things? I'm sure you've downloaded a lot of the files and the transcripts just to go over them yourself. Is there anything that stands out to you that really catches your eye in all the things that have been released in the last 6 months?
No,
Nothing.
no, they're giving us, the really good photos. They're not going to share those.
Right.
The ones, the close-ups, the ones that they came and took the negatives and the originals from the person.
Yeah.
They're not going to show us those.
Well, why is
what they've
everything
shown
so-
us so far are like,
Yeah, it's grainy.
Well,
I
because
thought
they don't-
I don't get it.
they don't. But what I figured out a while back, and a number of other people have come to the same conclusion, is that there's a technological war, a race going on between us, the Chinese, the Russians, and who knows who all else,
Right.
of who's going to get this information from whatever, crash saucers or something. Who's going to figure out how they get here, what their means of propulsion is, what kind of materials they use, what is it, an anti-gravity, something. If whoever gets it, let's say the Chinese get some bit of technological edge
Yeah.
from a crash saucer, if they can then arm their military with that edge and take over the world.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true.
So if the United States happens to have a crash saucer, let's say from Roswell, wherever they might have had it from, I think the wisest thing is don't share that technical information with anybody, because they'll use it to take over the world.
Right.
We should keep that very close hold. But they certainly could share. Well, they're here, they're friendly. They come from whatever, star system. They could share some
Sure.
general details without sharing the technical. But I think with the three-letter agencies, the military, whatever, the government, they think if we share anything at all, it's
Yeah.
like opening the Pandora's box. It's all going to go flying out, and we'll
Yeah.
lose control of the narrative.
Yeah, I can see where they'd be worried about that. That would make sense. But like you mentioned earlier, reverse engineering all of those things has got to be tough. I mean, it's
especially when they talk. People do talk about the craft. It's actually a conscious being.
right.
How is it controlled? Is there a steering wheel and some reverse forward buttons? No. You sit in a chair, you put your hand in sometimes like a molded armrest or something. I've heard people talk about that, or other means. But just if you can connect consciously with the craft, all you got to do is think, okay, let's go forward, let's go here, let's go to Jupiter, let's go to Sirius, let's go to, and off you go, and the craft responds because it's conscious. As scientists looking at, I think Bob Lazar has talked about this, and he says, they're looking at this craft and, they can't figure out how a damn thing works, how anybody's steering it or anything. Well, if it's consciously controlled and you don't, like our current technology, our scientists are kind of like, well, ESP, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Let's see some proof. They don't accept any of
let's
that.
go back
So if they
to
can't even accept,
Yeah.
if they can't even accept ESP and telepathy, how are they going to figure out how these craft work?
Well, let's
that
go
use
back
that?
to one of your analogies. That'd be like putting a deer in the front seat of a pickup truck and trying to let it figure out how a truck works. They'd have
Yeah.
no idea what's going on there at all. None.
Yeah. It's like they wouldn't figure out. All they want to do is get out, they wouldn't figure out that, if you turn this key here, boy, we could go a lot
Sure.
faster to the next, the next apple orchard,
Well, let me ask you this, because this is going to come up. They're asking questions in my comment section. I'm going to get emails after the show's over. People want to knock down, like we brought up Travis Walton. They want to knock down some of the more popular things that have been out there. So if you had to comment on Roswell or Area 51 or crop circles or cow mutilation, is any of that based in reality, or is that all just hype and stories?
Oh, no, I think it's all based in reality. In fact, I had the opportunity to go out and look at a crop circle. There was one that appeared, actually, there were two of them. This was probably about 25 years ago. I mean, I'm in the Detroit area, and it was a little bit to the northwest of Detroit, north of Ann Arbor. I heard about it. I forget how I heard about it, but I heard this crop circle's been reported, and there was like along this one side. And at the time, my girlfriend at the time said, well, what do you want to do for your birthday? And I said, I want to go see those crop circles. yeah. We'll go see the crop circle. Do you want to go somewhere to eat? I go, I don't give a shit. I just want to go see the crop. So we went out there. and these crop circles were like, okay, you know, like the Dave and Bill, whatever in England that said they made them with boards and string.
Right.
I looked at these things. They were simple. If you look at the more complex crop circles, there's no way Dave and Bill could have made them with boards and string. But I'm looking at a rather simple circle where the wheat or whatever was rye. I'm not a farmer, so I can't identify the crop very well.
Right.
But it was swirled in like clockwise direction. I walked in with a meter. I had a Gauss meter and an EMF meter, and what I found was the Gauss meter read, I'm going to make up a number, 0.35 or something inside the circle. When I stepped outside the circle, it dropped to 0.32. And then I stepped inside the circle and went back up to 0.35. There was obviously some kind of radiation inside the circle, inside the diameter of the circle. Then I examined the stalks of grain. And they say in a true crop circle, the stalks are not bent and broken. The nodes have been expanded, like they got hit by a microwave energy,
Right.
and they bent over. These were expanded nodes. Additionally, I picked up the top layer that was swirled clockwise around, and underneath, the layer underneath was swirled counterclockwise.
Whoa. Whoa.
How the hell?
Whoa,
How the hell?
John, hold on. You come on now, man. I was with you. All the stuff you'd said, I knew about the bent, I knew about the broken, I knew about, you know, the boards and the ropes and the things you use, but I've never heard somebody say about the difference in direction on layers. That's new to me.
I think you would have had to have taken each individual stalk and placed it careful, like somebody weaving something.
Yeah. Like
This is not something that was done with boards and string.
You know, you'd have to go around in one direction and do every other stalk, then go back the other direction with every other. No way could someone, human could not do that.
Was this farmer making any money off this? No. It was in his field, and people were pulling up their cars, parking them on the field and the edge, and then tromping through his field, examining the circle.
It was
The guy
costing
wasn't
him
charging
money.
any admission. Yeah, he was losing money.
Yeah. He's getting his crops were getting trampled on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
It's like this is not fakery.
Right.
Nobody's making National Enquirer's not making a story out of this.
No. Yeah.
And you've got all the markings of a genuine circle. I can hardly imagine what the ones in England are. And you've been seeing these for centuries.
Yeah, a long
They talked
time.
about these devil circles. Centuries back in the medieval times. They talked about these circles in crops. Were Dave and Bill around back then? No.
And they didn't. There was no television to spread the news. They weren't trying to impress 1 million people. They didn't know 1 million people. They couldn't reach 1 million people. You know. Yeah. Have you ever met anybody credible who has actually been to Area 51? And of course, you don't have to say their name if you do. But I just wondered if you'd know anybody.
I've never met anybody who was inside Area 51 other than Bob Lazar talked about it, and overall, I don't know. He seems fairly credible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who knows?
I just wondered. That's just a question they're going to ask me. Is that why didn't you ask him about Area 51? Why didn't you? Well, relax. It's they want to get all.
I like Bob Lazar's analogy though. I heard him speak at the Phoenix UFO conference back in, I think it was 2016. Stan Friedman was there. I actually met Stan Friedman. I had dinner with him and a couple other people. I've hung around with this crowd for a bit. And Bob Lazar compared to trying to reverse engineer these craft. He said he used the analogy, and I've heard other people copy this, so that's why I want to give Lazar credit for it.
All right.
He said it's kind of like if a wagon train, if you dropped an iPhone in front of a wagon train back 100 years ago, would they have been able to reverse engineer the iPhone? No.
No. Yeah.
They have no idea. Even if they broke it open with a hammer and looked inside, they'd look at it and go, "What the hell is this?"
Sure. Yeah. There's no way.
But
You wouldn't have a chance.
So Area 51, I don't know where they're, they understand some of the stuff was brought to Wright Pat, and people have made much about it. I was at Wright Pat before. I used to work for the Army. I got another call coming in, but I don't know how to cut it off, so I'll just.
You can just wait.
It'll go
That's
away.
Fine. It'll go away. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I know who it is. So there's nothing I could find. I wandered around the Quonset huts looking for a craft, and when I was at Wright Pat, and I didn't find anything. I don't know, but that's where they supposedly brought it. Some of the fragments. I understand Jackie Gleason was taken by Richard Nixon to look at a dead body. That's a pretty good story. And his widow tells that story. Is that true? I don't know. Maybe,
Yeah, we can't ask him anymore. He's not here. So, yeah.
But the people I talk to, I mean, I'm not seeing alien bodies, but I've talked to people that have had There's one lady I talked to. She was really old. She probably was maybe even as old as me. I don't know. I'm pretty old too. But she wanted to get her story out of what happened to her when she was like 5 years old.
All right.
She said she was laying in bed, and it was a typical, she woke up and these beings were there. Bing! I'm not going to overwhelm you with the bings, but you get the idea.
Yeah, I do. I got you.
And they took her and her mother through the walls of the house up to a craft that was hovering up above their yard. And the mother was led down one hallway, and she was taken down another hallway and put into this dentist-type chair, whereupon this alien was looking into her mouth. She was 5 years old, and looking in her mouth with his fingers, like examining her gums and teeth or something.
Yeah.
And she said, like any 5-year-old, I bit at the dentist office, I bit down on his finger. I went, oh my God, you bit down on his finger.
Whoa.
What did it feel like? And she said, well, it really didn't have like hard bone inside. It had like more of a softer cartilage. Wow. I said, that is a really, really useful piece of information.
Sure
it tells us something about alien physiology. And then she said after she had more adventures. I won't bore you with all the details, but rest assured they were interesting. She was taken back, and when she was being floated back to her bedroom from the craft up above her yard, she passed by a tree with green leaves, and she reached out and grabbed some of the green leaves. The next morning, she woke up in her bed thinking, was that all a dream? And she pulled back her cover, and there were green leaves there.
Unbelievable. Wow. Yeah, that's undeniable proof. That proves the whole story. If that's true, that's
this
legit.
Is a person, they have no motivation. They don't want to be on National Enquirer or Time Mag. They just want to share their story with someone before they die.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
They're totally credible. Most of the people, they don't want. A lot of them, they want to just be anonymous. Please. Don't reveal. It would ruin my career. It would ruin my standing at the church. It would ruin my standing with my relatives.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, there's a person that says, oh, I don't care. I don't care who knows. And I go, yeah, well, you ever have aspirations to be mayor or police chief? You can kiss all those goodbye.
Right.
If they know you've been repeatedly taken by aliens. And if you don't care about your career, what about your wife's career? What about your kids standing in school?
Yeah.
And after a while, they kind of go, yeah, I guess you're right, man.
Yeah, I got you on that. Hey, John, I'm going to wrap things up, but I'm telling you, what a pleasure and a privilege it has been to speak with you. And I would really enjoy it if I could invite you back again sometime. We can do more of these conversations, because I'm going to get a flood of emails now, and I'm going to get a ton of questions of things that I didn't get to ask. And I'd like to have you back on sometime, maybe, and we can go back over some more stuff, maybe do this for a little bit longer. Would that be okay if I called you back, John?
Sure. Yeah, I got. I'm going to be trying to enjoy the rest of the summer here, but give me a little time and sometime in the future. Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
We'll talk and get a heads up for sure. We'll get some time in advance so make sure your schedule's clear.
And my intention here is, I'm not trying to get in National Enquirer. I'm not trying to make money, obviously. I do have a number of experiences I've had about aliens. Like I said, I work with shamans in South America. I kind of know Baba Ram Das before he died. I've had experiences of all sorts. I'd like to be able to share it with people. And if
We'd
your
love to
show,
hear it. Yeah, we'd love to hear it and share that with the audience. They can pull up a chair, grab an adult beverage, and just listen. Yeah, we'd love to do that with you. Absolutely. That's the next thing we can do is you can have the floor, and we'll just let you start talking, and I can just ask questions as we go. I would very much enjoy
Sure.
that.
Okay, cool.
All right, John, thank you so much for being part of this. We're going to say goodbye to you right now, and thank you very much, sir. Appreciate you for taking time out of your day to come on with this, and you and I will talk again soon.
All right. Have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right, you guys. Did you hear? Did you guys get a taste, a little flavor of how that goes? I told you he understands so much stuff, and he has a unique perspective, and he's talked to so many people. And you don't have to agree with him. You have to disagree. You can say he's full of shit. You can say you believe everything. I promised you it would be interesting and it would make us all think. It raised an eyebrow, maybe a little bit of a smirk from time to time. Him and I were laughing. We're joking. It was a great conversation. It was a lot of fun to do this. We'll get John back again. He has some legit credentials. He was being humble when he just went over his accolades on stuff. I went online and looked it up. There's a lot of stuff there. There's a ton of stuff there at real places with real institutions. There's real degrees involved, and there's just decades of him sitting there documenting and reading stuff and writing stuff down. He's got it all. He's got it all there. Like he said, there's books he can reference and things to pull stuff in that aren't just from him. That's other resources, man. I appreciate you guys chiming in along with this. Did I miss anything in here? There seems to be something. I'm trying to read these. Gen X Mom stepped out for a second. She was supposed to be reading the sheets. I don't know if I can pull the sheets up and see if I missed anything, because there was some stuff from you guys in here. In the beginning, I saw some things. Let me see if I can read some of them. MacArthur, General Mama X, thank you, too, for hosting the show. We appreciate this. You're more than welcome there. It looks like Star Roberts donated 5 Gen X Talks gift memberships. That means you guys can take a peek behind the curtain now and see the members-only thing. Spot and Stock dropped $20 for Glib Glob. Back to school shopping. I like what you did there. I gotta tell John the joke about Glib Glob so he understands when we're talking about that. $10 from MacArthur. Shiloh, this is for you. It looks like Jack Armstrong, member for 24 months. Hey, Mama X and General, I have made it to the promised land of 2 years. The great show. Love you guys. We appreciate you sticking around that long. I don't know if I'm missing something in there. I truly hope that I am not, but if I did, I apologize. Last one was Sasquatch and Cigars. Enjoyed the show. Enjoy a cigar. Now I'm buzzing. So he had a good time. You knew Sasquatch and Cigars was going to be listening. He's waiting for his turn. He's waiting for his turn to talk to John about Bigfoot. He's got some knowledge in that area too. Gen X Mom, are we about done for the night? I think I covered the sheets.
Did you cover all the sheets?
I kind of scrolled back. I think I got everything. I didn't go to the sheets. I went to the stream section. I think we're good though.
Okay.
All right, so that's about it for us. Thank you guys for joining in. I told you it was going to be a new program. I told you we're going to have a little bit of a design change, and I came through on that, I believe. And listen, yes, before you guys start beating me up, we will have John back on, and we'll let him talk about whatever topic he wants, and then we can all join in. There's questions and conversations we can have. We'll rotate him through the schedule. Say goodnight, Gracie.
Good night, Gracie.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Not sure where you guys are listening in from around the planet, AM, FM, Sirius XM, or perhaps you're listening in on the Armed Service Radio Network. Remember 2 things in life. Number 1, wherever you go, there you are. And number 2, I'll catch you guys on the flip side. I'm out, baby. I got to go.
Bye-bye.